Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So instead of the usual blabbering about what the F-22 Raptor is and how it came into being, which I'm sure you can find enough information on the internet about, let me share how I discovered the F-22 Raptor. So traversing back to the year 1997, when my dad was serving in the Indian Air Force and I was a young teenager then, I had access to pretty much all the books in the Air Force library. One fine day, my dad brought me the latest edition of Jane's Defense Weekly, and I already owned a copy of the very expensive Jane's All the World's Aircraft Encyclopedia. Now, surprisingly, none of those two mentioned the F-22 Raptor anywhere, even though they had the F-117s and B-2s, but there was no mention of the F-22 Raptors, considering that 1997 was the year when the F-22s were entering operational service in the United States Air Force. A few months later, I was watching a news bulletin on BBC World, and they showed an aircraft that had big wide wings, a very big rudder with a large surface area, and even a tail section with a large surface area. And the first glimpse at it made me think as if it's another advanced version of the F-15 Eagle, considering that the F-15Cs had been in service for quite some time, and the D&E models were also entering United States Air Force operational service. But then they mentioned stealth and air dominance, and when I gave a closer look, I found that this is not really another advanced version of the F-15, rather it is a totally different aircraft. And that's how I discovered the F-22 Raptor. Now, mind you, back in 1997, there was nothing called the internet in India, and the only way you could actually access such classified information about aircraft is through very advanced and latest books. So thankfully, the next edition of Jane's Defense Weekly did have a mention of the F-22 prototype, and here we are today going to build one of those first prototypes of the F-22 Raptor. So I'm using the Wolfpack kit, and here you can see that I've already assembled the seat together. My glue of choice is Fevikwik cyanoacrylate glue, which I use in almost all my models. And I just put a drop there, and with a sharp toothpick, I spread out the rest of the drop so that it goes into the crevices and attaches the parts. Moving on to the assembly of the cockpit parts, you can see that the cockpit is pretty detailed. It's got this very detailed throttle and stick arrangement, and then a few decals which make the seat and the cockpit look very nice. I just painted up the seat black because that's how the F-22 Raptor seats are. And then here you can see me putting some decals and markings over the seat. This was followed with decals on the instrument panel and a little bit of detailing on the ejection seat handle. And this was followed up with the detailing of the seat harness on the ACES2 ejection seat. Furthermore, I detailed the switches inside the cockpit with a sharp toothpick and some white paint, red paint, and yellow paint. Right, here's the assembly of the weapons bay for the AIM-9M and X Sidewinder missiles, and that's pretty straightforward. It just slides into place and locks in to its intended location. A similar kind of straightforward assembly of the weapons bay for the AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles followed this up. Right, weapons bay assembled, I moved on to the assembly of the nose. This required a little bit of flash cleanup, although there's no flash at all on the rest of the model. But one thing which I did not like here in the assembly of the nose is that it fits on the underside of the weapons bay, and it's a very flimsy connection out there. You have to assemble it exactly as shown. If you don't, you are going to mess up the assembly of the air intakes, which will follow shortly. And here you can see that I've constructed the gear bay assembly here, and after that I moved on to the assembly of the air intakes. Now this is also a very simple and straightforward assembly. You can see that the fit is absolutely flawless. The turbofan engines, they kind of fit with a click at the back of this engine assembly, and then I got back to my Fevikwik cyanoacrylate glue to fix the engines onto the air intakes. And here you can see me fitting the left side of the air intake onto the turbofan engine assembly. And the final assembly of the seat into the cockpit tub with the control column and instrument panel as well. And there you have it. The pilot's office is ready. Alright, so then it's the assembly of the air intake inside the fuselage. Now the instructions of this assembly are totally gross. There's no way you can figure out how to fit that. It doesn't show you, but if you go as per the instructions, you will stay confused. The nose section actually has to be pressed inside a little bit, and the air intake quickly falls into place, and that is something that the instructions don't cover very well. I mean, you're left to figure out on your own. So after that, I moved on to the rest of the assembly of the engines, and here you can see me assembling the afterburner section with the turbofans at the front end of the afterburners. And this was again a very straightforward assembly. And this entire assembly sits kind of beautifully on the locator pins in the lower section of the fuselage. Alright, next step calls for the drilling of the holes to fix the drop tanks. I wanted to showcase the F-22 Raptor with the drop tanks on, so I drilled those holes and then fit the cockpit tub inside the upper section of the fuselage. You can see how beautifully it slides in and fixes right inside the notches given within the fuselage, and it turns out as a very fine assembly inside the cockpit tub. This is followed by the assembly of the top half of the fuselage onto the bottom half, and you can see that there is absolutely no gap whatsoever. Just a simple application of glue will literally fit the entire surfaces together. Now this with the caveat that you've been able to fit the air intakes absolutely perfect in the previous step. Alright, next step is the assembly of the rudder section. So this comes with a lower section which has a notch inside it, and a sideways section which has a divot inside it. This divot actually goes into the fuselage to fit the horizontal stabilizer. Photo etch time. So the first of the photo etch parts are now being brought out from their photo etch sprue. You can see these really small levers. These are actually the exhaust fin levers which will move the thrust vectoring system, and you can see that they fit on the exhaust section, and that's how the photo etch parts look once they are assembled onto the exhaust section. Now, dry test fitting was very important because of the fit of the levers on the side. Now, much of the rear section of the exhaust assembly that connects with the fuselage had to be sanded off to ensure that the nozzle fin section fits appropriately. And then the vertical stabilizer, just a dry test fit to check. Now, there's a good thing about this: the shorter divot is on the left vertical stabilizer and the longer notch is on the right stabilizer, so that ensures that you don't make a mistake on which one fits where. Alright, the photo etch saga continues with further details inside the exhaust being added in here, as you can see, and these details really bring out the look of the exhaust on the F-22 Raptor, as you can see here. Alright, time to work on the weapons. So I went with a combination of 4 AIM-120s and 2 AIM-9Xs, and here you can see me using the Venezia Metallica metallic paints from Granatone, and I wanted to try them, and this is the first time I did so. They came out really nice, especially the detailing on the fins of the missiles came out pretty good. Okay, great things about this kit include the inclusion of this entire set of masks for the wheels, for the canopies, and here you can see that I've already painted the wheel white, and now I am masking off the white sections of the rims of the wheel. And here you can see that I'm placing the decals on the missiles, and these decals conformed nicely to the surface of the missiles. Alright, then back to the masks, and this time it is the masking of the canopy, and here you can see me using the same masks that were provided with the kit, and this was a definite good addition to the kit. I then used the Siemens gray color and painted up the F-22 Raptor body, and then masked off with a carpenter's tape, masked off all the edges that were required to be masked, the leading edges, the trailing edges of the wing, and then moved on to masking of the nose as well, because the nose is of a different color than the rest of the body. So here you can see me doing that exactly with carpenter tape. I then used Abro 89 matte light gray color and sprayed it over the entire body of the model, and then once that paint had dried, I moved on to the camouflage pattern and used blue tack to outline the pattern, and then began painting my improvised Indian Air Force gray blue color, and I found that this was kind of an exact match for the blue that is there on the present on the F-22 Raptors. Right, and then it was time to remove the masking, and here you can see that the edges have come out really nice. The color scheme looks to be pretty good to me, and I think the fruits of labor have come out as expected, or maybe better. Alright, time to unmask then. So here you can see me removing the masks from the weapons bay, the gear bays, and also the front gear bay door assembly. And followed it up with the removal of the mask from the canopy. Right then, decal time, and the decals conform nicely to the surface. I used my standard procedure of applying the decals, which is watered down PVA glue in the place where the decal needs to go, and then dipping the decal in warm water for about 30 to 45 seconds, then removing it off the backing paper and sliding it in the position where it needs to go, and then removing the excess with a cotton Q-tip. And you can see that the decals have really come out very, very nice. They were in good register, and they definitely enhanced the look of the F-22 Raptor. All right, then a little bit of dirting up with the standard black wash, which I made from Camlin Chalk Pastel, and then cleaned up the excess. And the final step in the assembly was the fixing of the missiles, the AIM-9X sidewinders on the side rails, and the AIM-120s on the center rails in the fuselage. And with that, the build was complete. So here's the final reveal of the F-22A Raptor United States Air Force Wolfpack 1/72nd scale kit. So my 2 cents with this kit is that I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner because of the intricate work involved in sanding and grinding the exhausts to fit the nozzles. You can, however, choose to build the aircraft without the photo etch, and there are steps given for that as well. However, I felt that the photo etch definitely adds a much better look to the overall model, and so it must be built with the photo etch parts. Except for that, there are no other fit issues in the kit. So thank you very much for staying in tune till now. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.